let's talk about royal affairs now with the former royal editor of The Sun, Charlie Ray. Morning, Charlie.
Kevin, I'm still giggling at your last correspondence. Very well put.
I know, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Listen, Charlie and King Charles, and we had a memo recently saying we must address the royal family respectfully, but I still call him Charlie. King Charlie and Camilla are over there in France on a state visit. Now, in your days on the road, you went all over the world covering these kind of visits. What are they for?
Well, it was a tough job, Kevin, as you well know.
Yeah. So, dirty job, but someone's got to do it, yeah.
Now, most of these royal visits are to improve diplomatic relations between countries and also, more importantly, fostering trade between the countries. Now, in the case of France, France is one of our oldest enemies and is also one of our oldest friends, although the friends part does have a few problems.
Say that again.
As you can imagine, and as
with friends like France, who needs enemies?
So they are very important because it does foster good relationships between countries. That is the whole point of them.
Yeah, I get that, and some of the spectacles we're seeing, are quite good to look at. But yeah. Can we? I need to talk about Charles's green hypocrisy.
Sure.
So, at the banquet last night in the Palace of Versailles, bizarrely attended by Mick Jagger and Hugh Grant, among others. I don't know why he went to France to have dinner with a load of British people, but there you are. King Charles said he didn't want foie gras on the menu. I'm all for that because foie gras is unconscionably cruel. The fatting up of ducks and geese so that their livers become inflamed and then we turn that into a delicacy. I think that has to be banned around the world, but so in France it's still very, very popular. Anyway, he banned that. Good for him. He also banned asparagus being served because asparagus isn't in season in France, and that would mean it would have to be flown in by jet, and that's bad for the planet. But apparently it's okay for him and Camilla to fly into Paris when they could well have got a train, and then it's okay for them to stand on the Champs-Elysees watching this massive, great 20-plane jet flyover. I mean, he needs to get his act together if he's going to be a green warrior, doesn't he?
I think you and I agree on this point of the royals and telling us about their green objectives and wanting us to do the same, but they still carry on flying around the planet and watching flypasses and everything else. They need to rethink. They need to rethink that, especially I think you said earlier on today when you were talking about another subject, there are just too many people telling us what we should do and how we should do it, but they just ignore this so-called advice that they're giving and just do as they can. I mean, do as we say, not as we do. And Charles is in danger of looking like one of these people who think that the rest of us are little people and we have to do everything we can for the environment, but it doesn't apply to them, and that is bad. But on the plus side, I want to play a video now which shows King Charles in a very good light, I think. An extraordinary encounter as he was strolling alone around the hills and the moors around Balmoral. Let's have a look at this.
Hands, I think, like he's...
We do our best. Andrew's a minor celebrity in the mountain bike world.
Really?
Yeah.
Not compared to you, so.
Not really on the mountain bike.
So is this your summer vacation to Balmoral, is it?
It's wonderful.
The weather was better.
I know, it's typical.
Yeah.
The weather didn't look very good, but that is Scotland. So he's out there strolling. I like the idea that he goes out for a walk by himself.
Yeah.
And then he gets encountered by these Scottish cyclists, and you heard the conversation. I mean, I don't know why it's a story. It just is. It's just a strange thing. And I think, this makes Charles look like a good guy, a man of the people.
I think it's very, very good, and I'm assuming that the footage is coming from the cyclist's head camera.
Yeah.
Because I can't believe that there's some television crew nearby unless there's a documentary being made. And I would have thought as well that somewhere not too far away would be his security. You could not have him just sort of heading off into the hills all alone. Nobody knows where he is. But, I think that's great stuff. And I think that's one of the great things that he does, that members of the royal family do, like Catherine and William as well as Camilla, is their interaction, their normal interaction with normal members of the public is always very, very good. And they always set out to put people at ease right at the start. So you're no longer talking about Prince and the Pauper. You are just talking about two people just chewing the fat about whatever it is they want to chew the fat about.
Here's another thing to discuss about Charles. Charles and Camilla in France, looking very, very regal. But I think there is a sort of problem with this couple. I mean, they're both pensioners. They're
Steady on.
Well, you know all about that, don't you? I mean, they're not the most glamorous, compelling, charismatic of couples, are they? And you sort of think, I mean, I get how it goes. He's the king, she's the queen consort. But if we sent William and Kate to Paris, it'd be a much bigger reaction, wouldn't it?
I disagree with you on the charismatic part. I think they are quite charismatic, but you cannot put them up against William and Catherine because that's chalk and cheese. I mean, William and Catherine are the future. They are the rock and roll stars of the royal family. There is no doubt about that. But I think Charles and Camilla have been doing a good job. And to be perfectly honest, after his first year as monarch, he hasn't done a bad job. It's not been that bad. There are a few minor little hiccups, but on the whole, he's done quite well. He's got the royal family as slimmed down as possible. He wants to axe some middle managers out of the way to save money.
Yep.
You can't knock him for that. Just stop flying around the world and telling me not to take a plane.
Yeah, you could take a train to Paris in about 2 hours. That's what they definitely should have done. I don't think they thought this through. Another thing I do like about Charles, finally, it took him a long time, but he's now taking a very tough line on the gruesome twosome, Harry and Meghan over in California. Didn't invite them to the family event to mark the 1-year anniversary of the death of the Queen. Has taken Frogmore Cottage away from them. I mean, I think he's reading the room well there, that the public do not want him sucking up to Harry.
No, I think you're right. I mean, we discussed this before, that it's always difficult in a family squabble, for the parents. It must be terrible to have one of your children, have an argument with you and everything else. But he's reached the point of no return. He said, look, I'm fed up with this. I'm not going to have this anymore. You want to live your own lives. Live your own lives. You don't need me. You don't need the Queen, your stepmother. Fine. Just carry on and just leave us alone. It's that simple.
I think, as I say, that's reading the room. The British public want exactly that. And by the way, although none of us celebrate the bitter feud between the two brothers, Harry and Meghan, it behoves William quite well, because people like the fact that he too has had enough of his awful brother. So big up to William for that, and big up to King Charles. Great to talk to you, Charlie, as always. Charlie Ray, former royal editor of The Sun there.